Good morning or good afternoon to you all, wherever you are listening from. My name is Paula Gonzalez, and I am the Senior Manager of Membership Growth for AAPA. Welcome to today's webinar, Digital Twin of Waterways in Ports, How to Leverage Existing Traffic to Increase Safety and Utilization for Stakeholders, hosted by two of AAPA's newer members, DockTech and Wilson Sons. Before we start, I want to point out that we have lots of exciting programs planned for the remainder of the year. So if you're keen to learn about additional opportunities to connect and learn, please hang around for just a few minutes following the conclusion of the presentation, as I will be happy to share with you some additional ways that you can engage, learn, and network over the next few months through AAPA. Since meeting in person has been a little bit difficult, AAPA added a new benefit for new members last year to allow new members to hold a webinar to present themselves to the members and showcase their expertise and thought leadership. So we are excited to hear what these new members have to share with us today. If you are listening today and you are not a member with us and you would like an opportunity to present a webinar, as well as other opportunities to get in front of and build relationships with our port members, I will be sharing my contact information at the end of this presentation. So now I'll go ahead and get started. I am pleased to welcome our newer members and the presenters of today's webinar, two gentlemen from DockTech and Wilson Sons. I'll go ahead and turn it over to Uri Yoselevich to introduce himself and his fellow speaker. Uri, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Paula. It's great to be here. Yeah, we are a new member. I hope we are not the newest. I hope there are some others that following us. We've joined a couple of months ago after we've understand the importance of this organization, and so far, yeah, so far it's been great. We've been able to connect with members, and actually next week is the conference, which we will be attending. So it's also a great opportunity to connect, and it's been a while since I took part of a physical conference, so I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you, Paula. So today, what I want to do is kind of share our aspect on digital twin and ports, and why we believe it's important for port efficiency and safety of navigation. And I kind of give you a small glimpse and a small taste of how it actually feels like, because there's a lot of different initiatives and different meanings and different uses. So I want to do that on a specific taste. And I'll share my slides. Let me know. Is it on? I think it's on. So I'll be quick, and please feel free to ask any question you may have. So let's go. DockTech. Basically, my name is Uri. Start with a quick introduction. I'm an ex-naval officer. I spent 8 years on board ships, Corvette, SAR 5 class, the Israeli Navy. I resigned, I studied computer engineering, and ever since I'm combining my two passions of maritime and technology, and this is how DockTech came to life. We've been around for 3 years. During this time, we were able to contact with wonderful programs such as the Dock Port Excel, Google for Startup Residency Program, etc. And recently also the Scale Up in Brazil program, which was really useful to us. Our vision, this is why we're here, we want to empower maritime stakeholders such as yourself with data insight to help you do your job the best way you can. One interesting point that we found in port is the lack of depth assurance. So we know that water depth, the distance between the surface and the bottom is a really important thing, a really important factor in port. It dictates how much cargo can a vessel load, the draft restriction, the under-keel clearance policy, the safety of each voyage, and for the authorities, for the port authorities that need to keep the water deep, it's also a very big it's a very big resource that's being allocated towards dredging and keeping the water deep. And we've understand that today means is very limited into how we can approach and be efficient in this area. So basically, we've built a digital twin. A digital twin is a digital representation of a physical object. In our case, the object is the waterway itself, the waterway, the depth and its conditions, the environment conditions. And the wonderful thing about a digital twin is that when you have a representation in the cloud, you're able to do things that you've never done before, such as understanding the real-time situation, running simulations, and so on and so forth. And the way that we are building this digital twin is with something we call dynamic data. And if you think about it, dynamic data is everywhere in your port because it's being generated on board ships by the ship's sensors. We all know that ships has a lot of sensors on board: echo sounder, GPS, wind sensor, temperature, water temperature, humidity, you name it. And well, all of these sensors are generating terabytes of data per day, which is usually being kind of ignored because it's for the sole purpose of the captain and the team. And we understand that this data is actually the key element in the digitalization process of ports and a key element in building digital twin. So by using the current operations in port, right? Tugboats, big ship need tugboats because they cannot maneuver in small areas. So tugboats are going to be there and they are going to escort the vessels. And as they sail in and out doing their job, we are able to produce, collect, and enhance dynamic data that is helping us keeping the digital twin up to date. So we are feeding it, and here's a couple of visualizations and couple of data layers of the digital twin. One is a very simple on the left-hand side. That's a coverage map, kind of a heat map that you can see where are the areas that are more sampled by the tugs. On the middle, you see the RTS. RTS stands for real-time surface. So RTS, at any given moment, you can see how the seabed looks like now. And this is very important and very unique because we are using, and you see a little plus, it's an RTS plus. It means that this data is not only showing the area that the tugboat went over, we are actually able to fill in the data gaps. So if there are gaps, if you can see there are differences between the picture on the left and the picture in the middle, we can fill them up with AI, meaning that we can know more than the area that was actually measured. And on the right-hand side, it's the RTSS, it's the RTS plus survey. It's the enriched version of that. So what you see now, actually, everywhere that a tugboat went, there's a line, and the color represents the depth. So if it's red, it's shallow. If it's green, it's deep. And the legends are able to, we are able to view the legends on the web app. One of the things that we are able to do with that, as you know, that every waterway in port has something that is called declared depth, meaning that this depth is guaranteed to all maritime users. But what happened when this depth is not being maintained? It can happen because some places changes really rapidly. So for example, we can have a look in here and see that the area in orange and yellow are actually spots that are exceeding the limit, meaning that these areas are shallower than the declared depth. With that information, we are able to derive the amount of dredging volume that needs to be extracted from these areas in order to keep the water deep as they should. And we believe that this is a very practical tool for port authorities in dredging departments and operation departments, sorry, to keep the water deep, to keep the water safe, and bring better service to our customers, which are basically the shipping companies. So this is, and here is another example of a few other ports that we currently operate in. It's very interesting to see how fast can we generate valuable data. I think in the last port, it took us less than 2 weeks to reach the threshold of the data, so we can bring some real valuable results. So the way that we operate is with data partnerships. So the same one that I'm going to talk about now and going to present, data partnership. Basically, we are reaching out to tugboat companies, and with the tugboat companies, we are turning their tugboats into data mining assets. And that way, we have real-time and fully covered data coming from several ports, day in, day out. And the important thing is that we are able to give good results to the users, which are the port authorities and the terminal operators. And this is something that we care greatly about. We really care that the amount of data and the overall experience will be very good, obviously. So our partner in Brazil, and this is it was a first data partner, and we share the vision, and we share the I would say the culture in a way, is Wilson Sons. And Wilson Sons are, amongst other things, are a tugboat operator with over 80 tugs in the Brazilian market. And that were the perfect partner for us in Brazil. So with one partnership, we were able to reach to a lot of ports and port authorities in Brazil, generate valuable dynamic data, and build digital twins that are high accuracy and really up to date. So that was a wonderful step forward for us. And now we're looking for more data partners to join us and lead the digitalization of the ports. So all in all, we've looked at if you look at the digital twin of the waterway, it had 3 major points: optimization of dredging resources, cargo optimization, and safety of navigation. And these are the most important things that we want to bring to the industry. We believe that safety of navigation is crucial both for the safety of the ship and its people and the team, but also for the environment, because we all know what happens, unfortunately, when ships can get grounded. Cargo, we are all here to move cargo from point A to point B, and if we are able to, and this is the core, the core meaning of the logistics chain, and we are happy, to touch upon this very important thing. And dredging, of course, it's if we could, we would never dredge, but actually we have to dredge, and we want to make sure that we are doing that in the best possible way. But actually, that's the very kind of basic use. Now that we understand that we created the digital twin, there are many other use cases that can be extracted from that. Risk analysis. We want to reduce the risks in port. We want to make the waterway safer, and that would attribute to the risk analysis. Autonomous shipping. We believe that every autonomous vessel that is going to navigate in shallow waterway will need an external data source or an API that it can query in real time, and we are building the digital infrastructure for that, so that autonomous shipping can navigate in our ports. And because we have a lot of other environmental data with the dynamic data generated on board, we can even have better weather forecasts. Because sometimes, for example, wind inside port acts very different than it is on the wind sensor that is installed usually on a very tall building. So we want to be really, really precise with the weather. With that, I want to thank you for listening. I'm opening for, I think it's open for any questions. If there are, please let me know in the chat or in the question area. And my friend Pedro here from Wilson Sons will take the second part of this journey and tell you about that. So Pedro, take it from here.
Okay. Just share my screen. Paula, I think I don't have control over the screen sharing yet.
Okay, let me just pass the sharing to you. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Oh, no, it looks like you do. There you
Now
go.
I do. Do you guys see only my presentation or both screens? Because
We just see your slides. You're good.
okay. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone that joined us here today. My name is Pedro Rocha. I've worked for Wilson Sons for almost a decade now, passing through business development, investor relations, as we are a public listed company in Brazil. And now I'm 100% dedicated to developing digital solutions. Would like to give you an overview of our company and then go through a few slides on this culture and ambition that Uri mentioned just before. So Wilson Sons has over 183 years of history in Brazil. We are the largest integrated provider of port and maritime logistics in the country. We have our business divisions span over 7 major services that we provide, with the main ones being container handling and towage services, which we provide to over 2,000 active clients in all major ports across the Brazilian coast. And with this comprehensive set of services, we support mostly Brazilian trade flow activity and oil and gas exploration and production in Brazil. To give you some context in the trade flow, for every 2 ships that come to Brazil, 1 is served by one of Wilson Sons' business divisions. And we've been innovating throughout the company's history. This is in our DNA, and we wouldn't be here if that wasn't the case. So this is something that we value a lot. Of course, we operate in the infrastructure sector, mainly in ports and maritime services, and these are long-term assets. But we have been engaging with pioneering technologies, and DockTech is a perfect example of this, because we know that data and innovation is very important for the sector and very important for the Brazilian trade flow. And we've been looking for these partners to improve our current operations and to build new solutions for the market. So our overall strategy and innovation is to use technology as a driver to competitive advantage and value creation, both for the company and for all stakeholders in the port and maritime environment. So we have been promoting digital culture and innovation ecosystem in Brazil, and interacting with global innovation hubs that are focused in the sector. We have also been throughout the years developing solutions to improve our core business and drive internal efficiency. And my dedication has been to this third concept here, and that to develop these new digital solutions and bring new revenue streams to the company. And this is what I would like to talk a little more about what we've been doing. So in the new digital solutions initiative, our concept is mainly to combine Wilsonson's bicentennial expertise with our data and assets and third-party technologies, as I said, to develop these new solutions. And DockTech is a perfect example of that. And we have also been engaging with other startups in Brazil and internationally. So this concept translates into what we've been calling that we're leveraging our tugboats as data mining assets. And this is the example of our partnership with DockTech. We're implementing their solution and devices in our fleet in Brazil. We're currently monitoring over 7 ports in the country. And Uri just presented a good example of what we're doing in the Port of Santos, which is one of the biggest ports in South America. So from here, you can see that we've been using the echo sounders of our tugboats, the GPS, and the communication system to collect this information and translate this into insights that can help the port and maritime community. So this concept, we're also trying to implement in different set of services. We also engage with a company called AI Drivers, which is a provider, a British company that provides autonomous mobility for port operations. And so on, we would like to engage with the AAPA community to both present the services of our core businesses as well as our digital solutions. Our overall mission here is to enable safe and sustainable port and maritime operations through innovation and efficient collaboration. So we are very looking forward to collaborate with the AAPA members and improve the whole ecosystem that we are in. Thank you very much for your attention here, and here are my contacts. I can forward this presentation to everyone afterwards, and if you have any questions, we're here to help.
Thank you, Pedro and Uri, for that really interesting presentation and for sharing that information with us. We do have a question from the audience. Someone asks, has there been any reluctance by potential partners to share data?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Can you repeat that?
Sure. Has there been any reluctance by potential partners to share their data?
Well, that's a very good question, because I think data nowadays is something that a lot of people are discussing, and data rights and data privileges, as they call, are super important. But I think it's also very vague word, meaning that when you can ask somebody, are you willing to share your data? The question will be, wait, it depends. But if I ask you, do you mind sharing your echo sounder data? They will say, yeah. I mean, it's not something that is commercially, usually it's not commercially, it's environmental data. And I think it's being more and more perceived as such, meaning that environmental data is something that we can look at for the greater good here. And I think that people are starting to more and more understand that, and it's important. But also, on the other side of that, and this is kind of the technological answer for that, after the sample, so let's take one sample of GPS and one sample of sounding that's lifted into the cloud, I have no idea where it's coming from. So the interpolation, I don't know what's the boat, I don't know what's the company, I don't know who's the captain, I have no personal data, no commercial sensitive data, and we've built that in this way for a purpose. The same way that if you look on a chart, you have no idea who the contractor that measured the chart and presented the final result to you. So this same concept is being preserved in the digital twin, when you can only see the insight and the process data, and nobody actually have access to the raw data or any sensitive data whatsoever. But I fully understand the question. I think it's a very focused one.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great question, and there's so much sensitivity to data being shared these days, and especially proprietary data. So yeah, definitely a good question. And then what other types of dynamic data do you collect, and what can you do with it?
Yeah, so again, a good question. Dynamic data is basically anything that is being dynamically produced on board. Well, we all been on ship, or most of them been on ship, and if the others can imagine what's been generated. We're talking about wind sensing and humidity, which is important for a lot of other uses, and water temperature and water and air temperature as well. But one of the things that we do, we gain some interest from ports that are interested in air quality. So for example, with a very small investment, we can add, according to the specific use case, we can add sensors that will operate dynamically. So our partners, such as Wilson or others, are able to monitor air quality in ports and monitor the pollutions, and we can warn if there are any exceptions. And in the same way, we can monitor water quality. The thing that is important, I believe, is the concept of constant monitoring, constant sampling, and constant feeding of new dynamic data. And this can have many implications. And I think, if we cooperate right and we share our challenges, and I hope that that will be the end of the conference next week. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm excited. I haven't been to Texas in ages. It's share challenges, and I think through this sharing, I think new opportunities will rise, and new things will be able to solve with the same concept of dynamic data and digital twinning. So thank you for the question. I hope it wasn't too long of an answer.
No, not at all. I don't think so. And then one final question that I see here, what is the business model for ports?
Oh, that's very simple. So we have a web application. It's broadly available. It works in a subscription base, per use, per type of port. Very simple and very custom made to the ports and its specifics. So that was a quick one.
Paula, just to jump in here, I just want to add that this concept of collaboration and leveraging existing assets is very interesting. It's what drove us here, and that's how we got to DockTech, and the concept is very interesting so you can use this data for other purposes. For the example of the tugboats, we only use the echo sounder to prevent the tugboat to navigate into no-go areas, right? So it was only for safety purposes of our operations. Now we're using this data to provide insights to improve dredging planning in ports, for an example. Okay, and you can use this for other purposes, as Uri just mentioned, we can use other sensors and infrastructures and technologies that we have on the tugboat to collect data when we operate these vessels to come up with other solutions and address other challenges that the stakeholders have in these environments. So this is the main concept. We have some ideas of other solutions that we would like to develop. The ports and other stakeholders that we've been engaging with, they have come up with other ideas and have requested us to try some new ideas. So this is what we're here for. This is only the start, and we look very forward to drive this innovation.
That's fantastic. It's wonderful that there are so many uses for your tool and for the data that you're collecting, and that you're coming up with even more ways to use it. Any last thoughts that you want to share with the audience? Uri or Pedro?
Hey, is it on? Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm just, I don't want to repeat myself, but I think that collaboration here is the key. I strongly believe, and I think we have all witnessed how powerful our industry is, especially in the last year and a half. And I think if up until now only we know really how crucial we are to the world economy and how ports are the very core of the GDP and the world economics, I think the entire world knows now. And we should leverage this momentum to build, better, stronger industry. So that's the way I see it. We have an opportunity now.
Excellent parting words, I think. Thank you, Uri.
Great.
So,
Paula, I would like to add that this is just a brief introduction. We're happy to have one-on-one presentations and meetings with anyone interested in the technology and the work that we're doing. So we will for sure provide our contacts afterwards, and we are here to help.
Excellent. Well, many thanks again to Uri and Pedro for that very insightful presentation. I hope all of you feel like you gained some helpful insights from them. Before you sign off, I hope you'll hang in for just a few more minutes so I can share some upcoming events and promotions that we have that I think may interest you. So let me just share my screen and steal the presentation from you guys. Show my screen here. Hold on just a moment. There we go. And you should be able to see my slides. So as I mentioned, we have lots of new member webinars that we've been presenting, and we've got another one coming up in October. So mark your calendars now for October 12th. Our new member Trimble will be hosting a webinar titled Expedite Project Completion with Digital Project Delivery. That'll be at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And you should be getting invitations for that starting pretty shortly. So keep an eye out for that. As Uri mentioned, our annual convention is this weekend. It starts on Sunday. I know it's probably a little bit late for anybody who hasn't made the decision to attend in person, but we do have a virtual option. So if you aren't signed up to participate in person, but you want to attend virtually, there is still that option as well. There is a golf tournament that kicks off the convention, and it benefits the Port Employees Emergency Relief Fund, which, if you aren't familiar with that program, benefits ports and port employees that have been impacted by natural disasters and other emergencies, and they require relief. So, for example, Hurricane Ida, Hurricane Nathan, some of the major storms that have just recently hit the United States. Several of our ports have been requesting emergency relief. So funds from that from that golf tournament will be supporting that emergency relief fund. So if you aren't planning on being at the tournament, we of course take direct donations. So if you feel so inclined, donations are most appreciated. And then for those of you who might be interested in attending virtually, we have a lot of great content that we'll be delivering. We'll be announcing the Lighthouse Award winners, which we're very excited to be presenting. We'll have Thomas Crowley who'll be talking. He's one of our general session speakers. Emmett Smith, former Dallas Cowboy. Christopher Smith from Cheniere LNG will be one of our keynote speakers. Our chairman, Mario Cordero, will be delivering our annual membership chairman's address. We'll be talking about changes to our bylaws that will impact our members, so that's an important meeting to be attending. And then Michael Lichty from the Dairy Farmers of America will be one of our general session speakers as well. And then we'll be doing networking salons, which is something that's a little bit new. They're informal discussions, kind of roundtable discussions that'll be led by members. And it's kind of like a thought leadership type discussions, roundtable discussions, and they'll be involving and encouraging audience participation as well. And a couple of those will be live streamed as well for people who are participating virtually. And the topics for those will be offshore wind, climate adaptation and engineering resiliency, diversity, equity, and inclusion, technology and digitization, supply chain disruptions, and workforce development. So all very hot topics for our port members. And of course, we're taking COVID very seriously. For those who are attending in person, we are requiring that you either present proof that you have been vaccinated or that you are COVID negative, so that you have had a recent negative test. And we also are providing wristbands so that people can indicate your level of comfort with engaging with other delegates. And then all of our events are taking place either outdoors or in very spacious locations where people can spread out, and we've got plenty of air circulation. And then we've got lots of other things that we're doing too, and you can read all about our COVID protocols on our website. And you can stay up to date with everything that we're doing on our mobile app. If you look it up on your iOS or Android platform in your store, it's AAPA Port Authorities, Dashport Authorities, I believe is the name of it. You can find that, and we have got you can stay up to date on our news and Twitter feeds. There's in-app messaging, so you can directly message other users. Our smart guide is in there. There are networking forums so that you can have little group chats, and event information is in there. And then you do need your login and password for that. So if you need assistance, my colleague Renita Gross is happy to help you with that. And that's it. As I said, if you aren't a member or you are a member and you have questions about your member benefits or you want to present a webinar, please feel free to contact me. My email address and phone number are here on the screen for you. I'm always happy to help a member or a non-member connect with other port members, other members in general, and with member benefits. So with that said, this concludes our presentation for today. Thank you again, Uri and Pedro. It was a pleasure presenting this webinar with you. I hope everyone has a pleasant day and enjoys the rest of your week. Thanks so much and take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye. Nice to meet you all.
Bye-bye.